Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Robert, and I actually, in these next few videos, I'm going to start talking about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is, basically, I should give some background. When I was a teenager, I was diagnosed with mononucleosis, or just mono for short. And what that is, to spare the long detail, basically the symptoms entail you feeling very tired, and I was like that for I would say from about the age of 13 till the age I was at least 16, and it actually kind of felt like the symptoms never really went away because when I was adult, it kind of dovetailed into this thing called chronic fatigue syndrome, and so basically, mononucleosis, and then, from 13 till at least 16, 17. And then, I kind of had a break where the symptoms weren't terrible for a few years, but then in my 20s, they resurfaced. And again, just an extreme fatigue. And, for basically most of my adult life. And, so that's kind of the background, and that's what sort of propelled me into studying health, the body, nutrition, even nootropics and things like that. Basically, in an effort to sort of stem the symptoms, stem the what I was dealing with, and that's. I said the next few videos, but really it's probably going to be a collection of videos, probably a half a dozen videos where I want to talk about different things that I've learned over the years. Now, first I should say I'm not a doctor, and I'm nothing of what you would call, like one of those health guru people, whatever. I don't have all the answers. All I know is what I know, and that is what I would like to share with those of you out there, whether you're dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome, narcolepsy, or something else entirely. Another issue another health issue I dealt with and was diagnosed with by my doctor at one point in my mid 20s was GERD, actually, and so I had GERD and chronic fatigue syndrome going on at the same time. Not fun. So I was put on, because of the GERD, I was put on initially Prilosec. The medication changed a few times, but initially it was Prilosec, taking that daily for quite some time, probably longer than I should have, because you're actually, with Prilosec and any PPI type drug, proton pump inhibitor drug, you're supposed to take breaks. I didn't as much as I should have because the symptoms I was dealing with were quite severe. So anyway, I dealt with that for a long time. Actually am right now not taking any sort of proton pump inhibitor drug, and have not been taking anything for that. 4 or 5 months at least, actually. Now that I think about it, it's been 4 or 5 months at least since I've taken any sort of Prilosec, Nexium, or Prevacid, anything along those lines. And I want to get into that as well. That's a whole topic in and of itself. Basically, it involves a crap ton of probiotics, mostly, among other things, but mainly a lot of probiotics, having a very regular, consistent intake of high quality probiotics. Again, I will get into that in future videos. Don't want to take the time for it right now because I can talk forever just even about the one topic. Also want to talk about nootropics. I mentioned that earlier. I want to really get into it. Again, it's really just a matter of the things I've learned. I'm not going to claim to know anything, or everything, I should say. I'm not going to claim to know everything about nootropics or health or any of it. I know what I know. At the same time, I like to think I know a little bit, because I know in my case, growing up, actually, it's kind of funny because people say it's a cliche term. It's a super cliche term. People say, oh yeah, I was into that before it was cool. In this case, I can legitimately say I was into health before it was cool, whether I wanted to or not. My mother actually she was basically kind of almost a hippie in a way when it came to that. You know, peace, love, brown rice, essentially, or in her case, a guitar, Bee Gees, and brown rice. Yeah. So we were, you know, I was brought up with that. I was brought up, you know, using terms like non-GMO, organic, cruelty-free, and all of that, like way before anybody had any idea what the heck it meant, other than me. And I mean, I remember being a kid and trying to tell my friends about organic food, and they're like, "What?" You know, it's become kind of more of a thing lately. But when you're growing up in the '90s, and you know, organic, Captain Crunch, what? You know, I mean, it's like nobody had any idea back then. But I wanna get more into that, get into talking about the different things I've learned over the years, and really enabled me to, despite the symptoms I was having with chronic fatigue syndrome, GERD, and other things going on, and I forgot to mention migraine headaches. I don't know how I forgot to mention that, but I was also dealing with quite severe migraine headaches for a while. So at one point it was actually all three of those, chronic fatigue, migraine, GERD, all at the same time. Not fun. Not at all fun. But I want to get into that, how I was able to really break free from that in a lot of ways. And to where the symptoms are, you know, I mean, so much less than what they were. It's really quite amazing. And that's not because I'm like some genius. It's really mainly because I took the time to learn from and listen to people who basically were geniuses in this field. And so I think that's it for me right now. So stay tuned for those videos, though. If you know, whether or not you're dealing with chronic fatigue or narcolepsy, or I think I mispronounced that. Anyway, or even something else entirely. I think these are the things I'm going to talk about are really going to be beneficial to you. So just to recap, some of the things I'm going to get into in the coming videos. Kombucha, I've been homebrewing it for 5 years. I'm going to get into just all the ins and outs of homebrewing kombucha. Kefir, also want to talk about that. Been homebrewing that stuff a couple of years now. Nootropics, I've been pretty intensely studying nootropics for it's a little more recent with the nootropics. I want to say about a year and a half. It might be 2 years, but about a year and a half with the nootropics, and just basically what I've learned so far in that field. And then of course, you know, some basic nuts and bolts about eating and diet and so forth. So stay tuned for that. And for those of you, by the way, just a little aside, for those of you who had subscribed to my channel kind of previously, I was making more tech videos. I'm still making tech videos. They're just not going to be on this channel. I'm kind of moving them over. I created a new channel, and I'm putting them all onto that channel because I'm a total nerd, and I have so many tech things that I want to get into that it just was it needed its own channel, basically. So that's what I did. So hopefully I remember to put a link in the description, but check in the description. There should be a link there to that other channel. And for this channel here, I'm going to keep it something of a vlog format of sorts, but it's not going to be just like random vlog. Again, I'm talking about health, nootropics, might get into some other stuff, but I guess we'll take it from there.